Okay, so this is just I just technically started. Okay.
All right.
Don't worry about it. Like viewers are gonna get a little bit later to it. You don't have to look at yourself. You can look at me or whatever you want. It's all right. Not just we go. Okay, so we have pleasure to have you here.
Thanks, mate. Thanks for having me.
Wow, beautiful. Okay, let's start with. You want to do some joke cards?
Yeah, why not?
Want to grab? Just shuffle them and just choose one. Okay, just shuffle them a bit and just choose one. Okay, we're starting with jokes. Okay, you want me to tell them?
You tell me.
Okay.
You're the one good with the jokes.
Okay, let's go. Let's go with a really bad dad joke. Okay, Sylvester Stallone met Dwayne Johnson. I heard the meeting was not good. It was a bit rocky. No, that's a dad joke. Okay.
Very dad joke, this one.
Okay. This is a thinking joke. Okay, it's a thinking joke. The devil went to get a coffee in a coffee shop. Okay, they asked him what's his name, and he said, "I'm the devil, the lord of the underworld." And they asked him to say just to mention who he is in one word. Fast enough, Stan got his coffee. Satan, Stan. So they just mixed the name.
Okay.
Okay, I had to explain.
That would be man.
Yeah.
Like,
You want to try one? You want to try to tell one? Yeah, go ahead.
I don't mind.
Yeah, just shove it up. Just try to tell one. I don't know who wrote
like
these. Technically, I did.
Adesanya.
Okay.
Israel Adesanya told the press before the fight that he's going to show us a fight that's going to get us off our sofas. And yes, I got out of the sofa and went straight to bed. I agree, man. Man, the last fight, oh my god, man, it's so boring.
Yeah, it's just.
Yeah, he's very good with the media,
Yeah.
promoting himself and like all the Instagram thing, like very fancy. But man, when you fight, it's just like, boring.
You want to try another one? Just shuffle it up. Try another one. Something you don't have to go for a long one. Just
Every time I see an electrician that can't fix a problem, I always wonder why he doesn't call the Power Rangers.
It's also a dad joke.
Very dad joke.
Classic dad joke.
Yeah.
Yes, I got other stuff like let's do another one. Let's do another one. An airport company said they are not willing to put violent passengers on their planes anymore. They call the new policy fight or flight. Because they're fighting the stuff. Or for example, we got, you know who's Stephen A. Smith? You heard that guy?
Stephen A. Smith? No, what?
Stephen A. Smith is an analyst for basketball.
Okay.
Okay. I'm saying analyst because he's basically a trash talker.
Right.
Okay, just trash talk. He doesn't say anything with content. He just trash talk us. And the way he says it with caps lock. Like, it was impeccable. Precision to the max. He was playing the most hardest game of his life. And it's like he's going really hard to it. And he doesn't say anything. So one time, the guy, he did the same thing with MMA. With Donald Cerrone and with Cowboy Cerrone and with McGregor when they had their fight.
Yeah.
And they were going to beat him up. They wanted to beat him up. And then the entire MMA world just made fun of him so badly.
Yeah.
Because they saw him he did some punching exercises. Then he did this weird punch to he did a punch up, a hook up, and then a hook to the penis or something. It was really odd. And everyone could see that he doesn't know what he's doing. He doesn't know.
Stick with basketball, bro.
He doesn't even know in basketball what he's doing. In MMA, yeah. So, for example, the joke is opinions from Stephen A. Smith are like a chihuahua yelling at a wolf.
Okay.
Okay. So you got to explain the context sometimes. Okay. Oh my God, this is a horrible one. Okay, when Bambi's mother died, Bambi was broken. For him, she was very dear.
Ooh.
That's a hard one. That's a hard one. Okay, let's do another one just to clean it up a little bit. Okay. Me and my girlfriend did a freebie list where we talk about the only two people we were allowed to have intercourse with. My ex-girlfriend. Okay, I chose Angelina Jolie and Scarlett Johansson. She picked the two guys living next door. I'm gonna keep these. Keep the joke cards. Okay. So let's shift it up a little bit. So, where are you from?
I'm from Brazil, like you can tell by my Brazilian accent.
Yeah. So first of all, yeah.
So like, so about the lineage, right? So
yeah, we're gonna start talking about lineage.
So
what's going on?
So for who don't know, like my dad is my master. He's a coral belt 8th Dan. His name is Guilherme Machado. So man, he has been training jiu-jitsu for 60 years, which is like almost his whole life. You know, he's 74 now, so it's like a lot of time dedicated to the art. And man, I was blessed to born his son, and get man all the knowledge that I know from him. You know, so my dad still live in Brazil. We have a gym together there, and that's when I start to my teaching career, let's say like that. And yeah, basically he taught me everything I know, you know. Yeah, my dad, he like his lineage coming back a little bit. His master called like Álvaro Barreto, and his brother João Alberto Barreto. They both like red belts, and 9th Dan Álvaro, and 10th Dan João Alberto, and their masters were Helio Gracie, right? Helio never like taught my dad directly, but because of one experience that they had, like for example, was like the first competition of Guanabara, you know, which is the first name of Rio de Janeiro, you know, before it become Rio de Janeiro, you know. So it was like Guanabara. This is like, man, beginning of the beginning, you know, like the beginning of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu was something so new. My dad, back then, he used to like tell the friends like, I practice Jiu-Jitsu, and people like, what? Like, what is that, man? Jiu-Jitsu? What is this? You know, I think they were more familiar with maybe karate or kung fu or judo, but Jiu-Jitsu was something pretty new there, you know.
Yeah, it's interesting because Jiu-Jitsu, like what I was taught, that Jiu-Jitsu is originally come from Japan.
Yeah, but this was after, you know. I'll get back there, but like, so when my dad was like competing, actually my dad like won many comps back then, which would be the worlds, because they didn't have the worlds yet. So that was the main comp, which was in Rio, because Rio was the mecca of jiu-jitsu back then, and like the only place that had like big comps. And my dad was fighting, and I remember like Álvaro and João Alberto, because they were from the Greice Academy, and they decided to get like their own academy. Their main goal and their main mindset was like, man, we have to beat the Greices, you know. So like Álvaro and João Alberto was just like putting in the students' head, come on, we're gonna get there, you're gonna chase the Greices, you know. But in a good way, of course. Like they were friends, they had no animosity, you know.
Don't worry about the shirts. Don't worry.
No animosity. It was
actually
just
looks
like
better.
Was just like you know, a friendly competition, let's say like this. But of course they want to make their name. So the best way to make the name is beating the Greices, right? Which is like a monopoly. Back then, the Greices were winning every division. All the Greices, they were like just like winning everything, right? So my dad was like very well trained, you know, like training very hard, and he was like winning everything, and he got like few fights before, and ended up like in the final with Rorion Gracie, which in Brazil we say Rorion, right? The R sounds like H.
Yeah.
So I think it sounds better, Rorion, not
Rorion?
Rorion.
Yeah.
you know, like
Rorio Gracie.
doesn't even look like sounds the same guy, you know,
Yeah.
like so Rorion Gracie, which is the, for who doesn't know, he's the creator of UFC. All right, he was the first guy and the first son of Helio Gracie, or in English, Helio Gracie, right? So he got in the final with this guy, right? And he was a Gracie, and he was like a very good guy, and I think they were like a brown belt back then. And man, like my dad mentioned to me, like I was like shitting myself, you know? Because it was like the whole Gracie family, you know, and like Carlos Gracie was alive, you know, Helio Gracie, they were like just like, you know, staring at my dad, and it was like very, you know, tense. He was just tense, and he was like, man, like I was like very nervous, and luckily like the master came to him, João Alberto Barreto, which is one of the masters. He came and said, Guilherme, forget the name Gracie, just go there and do what you know, you know, just show your jiu-jitsu, forget the name, just go there and get him, you know. And my dad said that this was the boost that he needed, you know. So it was just a switch, and he just like, all right, man, let's do it, you know. And he went to the fight, man. Helio Gracie was the referee of the fight. Just to have an idea, you know.
Yeah.
He was the referee, and man, his first son. So of course, like if it was like by points or whatever, you're gonna give to the son.
Yeah.
Right? So the only chance that my dad had was submitting.
Yeah, he had to finish the fight.
Have to finish the fight. So my dad went straight away. They start like standing up. My dad got a beautiful takedown. And when he finished the takedown, he attacked the arm straight away. Rorion like kind of escaped. You know that spinning armbar?
Yeah.
So when he was attacking this arm here, Rorion escaped. He did like a spinning armbar very quick. Rorion was right in a bad spot. They were like fighting a little bit there, but boom, end up like submitting Rorion. It was like 1 minute. Was like very quick, and then my dad remembered this scene of Helio super pissed off, you know, like just angry at his son and yelling with the son, you know, like, oh, you idiot, what are you doing, like that, you know, like, and my dad was just like, man, come on, it's Helio Gracie, the legend there, right? And my dad was kind of like, oh, my dad was pretty young, he was like 17, something like that, you know, and he was just like, ooh, what should I do? So he was like, just like with the, like a little bit like in the corner there, just like, just waiting, you know, and one guy came from the crowd, which is like a friend of Helio, and just say, Helio, you have to raise the hand of the champion. You forgot that part, you know, like. so Helio came and like raised the hand of my dad, and man, my dad was like, wow, man, like it's like a dream came true, you know. He could beat one of the Gracies like in a time that the Gracies were just smashing every division, you know, they were winning everything. And that the best part is after. So when he finished the fight, he went to the changing room or to change the clothes and everything. And like a group like from the family arrived. It was like a Rose Gracie, which was the one like similar age as my dad back then. And Rickson was like a kid.
Yeah.
Rickson was a kid. Royler, he was a kid too.
Yeah.
Royler was a kid. But so it was like a bunch of little kids, like the Gracies, but the legends, you know, but kids yet. And Rose, so they come to my dad and say, look, man, this is not gonna stay like that. You cannot like win from a Gracie and thinking that would be, and that's it. We're gonna come and you know, chase you. You know, like they were kind of like, you know, like, and my dad was just like, look, I will be competing, so come in a comp and we can have a fight. Because my dad was like very confident of himself, especially after he beat the Rorion Gracie, which is the eldest. You know? So, well, unfortunately, I think because of the name, the Grace name, and like they were very smart with the image and the marketing aspect. They were like very smart, especially Carlos Gracie was like very like a good mind for these kind of things. He never put Hals with my dad in the same division. So every time that my dad was winning, going to that, I don't know, lightweight, so Hals were going middleweight or featherweight, you know. So he never put in the same division, so he never had a chance to fight Hals. And man, like for who don't know, Hals, everybody until nowadays, they say, man, he was the best Grace ever, you know. So my dad, the dream was like to fight him, because he was just winning everything, man. He was like, he was amazing, right? He was the guy who died in a paraglider accident in a very young age, you know. But he was the first one who bring like the wrestling and sambo, because he was very into sambo, and he was competing sambo as well. So he just revolutionized jiu-jitsu, you know. So Hals was like an idol for my dad, you know. He was a big fan of Hollis jiu-jitsu and everything, and he would love to fight him, of course. And I think Hollis would love to fight my dad too, because they were like always like staring at each other, you know. When they see each other, there was always a little bit of a, you know, tense there, but in a good way, you know. But I think the Helio and Carlos, they never let this happen, because they don't want to take the risk, which could be a risk or could not be. Maybe he could beat my dad, you know. We don't know, you know. But
but they just didn't want to go for it in case it happens again, and then they'll be in a problem.
Exactly.
They don't.
So how finished the whole story was like, and that's why my dad got the black belt from the hands of Helio Gracie. Because when Helio decides to give the black belt to Rorion, he said, "Oh, before I give to Rorion, I have to give to the guy who beat Rorion, who beat my son."
It's very humble.
Yeah, so that's why he can come. It's all about, back in the days, not anymore, right? But back in the days, it was all about honor, you know, like and do the right thing and respect and be humble, you know. Nowadays, unfortunately, everything changed, you know. But today, he put the black belt on my dad, and we can tell, like, because Helio just, like, without being a Gracie, man, he just gave like a black belt for very few people, you know, like super rare. If you say like, I'm a black belt of Helio Gracie, is because, man, you're one of the few, you know, the elite of the elite of the elite, you know. So my dad's very proud of saying that Helio Gracie put the black belt on me. He's not his master, because his master was Álvaro Barreto and João Alberto Barreto. Yeah. But he got the belt from him, which is, you know, amazing.
It just has its own meaning and its own importance, I'd say.
Yeah.
How was it like growing up in that kind of shadow, or that kind of, it's not a shadow.
It was amazing, because my dad was a very wise man in a way of, he never pushed me too much, you know, like in a way of, he let me free to choose. I remember like the first martial art that I did was judo, when I was like 4 years old. Around 4, so I started like very young, and I think he decided with judo, because judo is more like discipline, you know, like you know.
I did that too when I was like 5 or 6.
Yeah. So my dad decided to start with judo, and man, I did judo from 4 to 13. So I got my green belt in judo, which would be like the purple belt in jiu-jitsu, right? But in between that, I started jiu-jitsu as well when I was around 7. So I was doing judo and jiu-jitsu, kind of like simultaneously, you know, together. But like from 7 to maybe 12, around 12. And when I was 12, I just decided that I don't want to do that anymore, you know. I want to keep going with judo, but I don't want to do jiu-jitsu. I just like lost the interest, you know. So my dad was mad, because he knew that if he pushed me and said, no, you're my son, you're gonna keep training because I'm the master, I would end up like hating the thing, and probably wouldn't keep going the journey. So he was smart, because he saw the example with the other guy.
It's a good lesson in positive motivation.
Exactly.
Negative versus positive motivation.
He saw other friends of him like that were training jiu-jitsu, that was pushing the son too much, and the son ended up like quitting forever, you know. So he said, man, I don't want to do that with my son. I want him to keep in the journey, so I want to leave him free. So he came to me and said, all right, you don't want to do jiu-jitsu? Fine. What you want to do? Because you have to do some sport. You're already doing judo, but I want to do something else. I said, I want to play soccer. And I was playing soccer for a while. And after I changed my mind, you know.
Yeah, I know.
Teenager, that age that you do something a little bit and you change your mind very quick.
I'm a teacher in school.
Exactly.
I know.
So I did soccer, and after that I did a little bit of rowing as well. I did many sports. I did tennis. I did volleyball at school. Like many things. I just did like many sports. And when I was around 15, that time, like I don't know in Israel, but in Brazil, around 15, man, the things start to get a little bit tough at school. Like in the time, the bully wasn't like a thing yet. Like
it was a thing. We just didn't name it.
Exactly. So but people were letting the things happen.
Yeah.
So man, like I remember, like man, at some point I just felt like, man, I have like a kind of like a weapon, in a good way at home. Why I'm not doing that? I'm not training because man, I need that thing now to protect myself. Because man, like older guys, trying to take my lunch. Like
that was my thinking then too. That's what I started.
Exactly, man.
Yeah.
So just like man, you know what? I will come back, and it was my decision.
Yeah.
He let me free. So that was amazing, and I want to do the same with my son, because when I come back around 15, I never stop anymore. I'm training until nowadays. I'm 34, so long time doing this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when you started training, like, what was your approach in the beginning? Because when you're starting, like, even when we started training at 15, you always tried like to prove something.
Oh yeah, especially man, teenager, man, full of testosterone, man. Very spazzy and explosiveness, like man, I remember like I was like, a lot of ego, I would say. I remember like I was so like intense in my training, and with that thing of proving myself, that I was getting hurt all the time, because like man, you're training with other guys way more higher level than me, like high rank. Like let's say I was like a blue belt, and I was running with the purple, black, brown, and guys that have been training for a long time. So they were like smashing me, of course, But I didn't want to tap. So it was just like resisting. The guy got me in the umber, for example, and I didn't want to tap, and just like pop the arm, or get a foot lock and pop in my foot, and just like because of the ego. And I remember my dad just like trying to hammering, saying, man, you have to tap. What are you doing? Why are you not tapping? Just like, like teenager,
Yeah, it's nice.
I wasn't listening like much because it was my dad too. He's the master, but it was my dad, So it's that like thing about like son and dad. So it's like, it was a little bit challenging for my dad, I can tell.
Yeah.
And of course it was challenging for me too, because it was pushing me a little bit harder than the other students. He was expecting more from me. But he was like very wise in the way that he deal with that. He when he saw that I was like getting hurt like often because of my explosiveness and my ego, he started to put the blindfolded training on me. That's when it started, and he was all right. So now I'm gonna put the blindfold on you, and I was like, no, Dad, but this is not fair. What? Because I was the one blindfolded, but the other guys could see it. I said, man, this is not fair. At least put the other blindfold, the other guy too. And he was, no, just you. And I was like, come on, like, like very upset, but like, he's the master, I have to do it. And I was putting, and man, that was a huge switch in my game, because once you put the blindfold, there is no more, ego. You kind of like, it's just you and yourself. You're not fighting anyone else. You're fighting you, and it becomes so clear in your head that there is no point to go crazy and do strength. You have to. It's about feeling.
It's about feeling and
it's about
thinking.
Feeling and thinking, and it becomes the chess game. So that's, I think, was when I start to get more technical. Before it was just energy and strength and going crazy, and after that, and he started doing that, like, of course, like every training, and at some point he was telling me, I say, Leo, you train way better with the blindfolded than without the blindfold. So like, I think now you're ready to take it off the blindfold. So after, I don't know, few months of training blindfold, like almost every training, he'd take it off the blindfold, and I felt like much better after that. You know, I could calm down a little bit more. Of course, not. I still teenager, still full of energy, still going.
Still fighting, but at least the pride is gone.
Exactly.
At least the pride is a little decreased.
Exactly. So it was very important. It was a big switch for me. It was an important thing, and I try to do the same with the students. You know, I see the importance of the blindfold training. Yeah,
I know you've done it with us. Like I did it with Carol and with you a couple of times. It was really fun.
Yeah. So important. Man.
I didn't even know who I was working with, which one time.
And that's the idea.
I think you did it once when you put a blindfold and you said, "Okay, search someone to work with."
Yeah.
Like
it's good.
So were you teaching in Brazil?
Yeah. So I started teaching when I was blue belt already in the kids class. So my dad always liked the idea of put myself to teach, and I was like. We used to have like an afternoon class for the kids.
Yeah.
And I started teaching the kids, you know, like, of course my dad was always like monitoring.
Yeah.
Know? And I was teaching and everything, like, it was always something very, I would say, no push, you know, it was something like very relaxed and like was just a process, you know. He started putting me to teach, and when I see I was teaching like adults class too, sometimes when he couldn't make it, you know, when I was around my purple belt, you know, so yeah, the teaching was always in my jiu-jitsu journey too, because my dad is a big fan of once you learn something, you need to share. So my dad was always like an open book, and I feel like I'm the same, you know. I don't want to hide anything, you know, because I've seen like many black belts doing this kind of thing. I have this kind of attitude, and I found this so silly, you know, like, man, why you want to hide and you want to keep this as a secret? You know, if you have your students, then man, you want to share everything you know, man.
Yeah, to be honest, it happens with me, that a realization happened to me as I was doing my education degree mostly, and then it happened as I was teaching actually salsa. So as I taught, I became better because I taught. Because when you teach, you are forced to know the position in details, and you need to understand the underlying principles of
100%. 100%.
Yeah. So the relationship is different when you teach.
When you teach, you learn it twice. Because you have to go into every single detail of the technique, and also the questions from the students, which make you think even deeper about every single detail. So like, man, you become way more technical. It's a changing in the way to how you see jiu-jitsu, you know. So man, I try to do the same. Once you reach like at least the purple belt level, I start to, you know, push you to teach. You have to teach. And if you're a black belt, man, even more important, right?
Yeah.
I know many black belts that just want to compete, just want to like, you know, fight and bro, but like not at origin, you know. At origin, if you become a black belt, you have to share. You have to share what you know, you know.
Yeah.
You know, what you can do with your knowledge if you're not sharing? You know, you're gonna, you know, close in a wardrobe that's just mine. You know, like this doesn't work like that.
It doesn't really help. And I was just wondering, you also talked about, right now I'm just gonna shift a little bit. You spoke about origin. Like we have the logo of the Buddha and the origin thing, and it's really hard for me to understand it because, like, I was always taught that jiu-jitsu come from Japan. Okay, that I'm like, it's really hard for me to connect these things.
Yeah, but this is like a very common thinking, you know, because you're right, was developed in Japan, right? Yeah. So, but the roots, the source, the origin of jiu-jitsu was actually with the monks in India.
Wow.
With the Zen Buddhist monks in India. So what was happening back then? Like they are like very peaceful people, of course. They're monks, they meditate, you know.
Yeah.
and they were like because they have like gold, they were getting stolen by the thugs. Like every time they have to go out of the monasteries to buy something, to do something, they were getting stolen all the time, and the thugs were always like getting their money. And like they said, like, look, we have to do something in order to stop that.
Yeah.
They are taking all our money. What are you gonna do? You know? And they were like, okay, so we have to develop something that we cannot be aggressive, because we're not aggressive. So we have to create something that we control the aggressor without necessarily making them bleed, for example. You know? So they start a deep study by observing the animals. You know, they were watching how the cat does, how the bear does, how like the lion, like, so they were just observing the animals and trying to figure out like, okay, so how we can move and control by using leverage and, you know, controlling the joints. What we can do here to stop these like thugs like robbing us, you know. So that's when they start to develop jiu-jitsu. Back then the name wasn't jiu-jitsu, of course, but it was the philosophy of jiu-jitsu, which is the gentle art. Because jiu-jitsu in Japan, the meaning is the closest meaning in English.
Yeah, I think it's the gentle touch or something.
Gentle art, yeah.
Gentle art?
But in Brazil we call it's a little bit better the translation, because we call arte suave. But suave here in English, it's smooth, but it's not quite the same thing, you know. So it's like the gentle art would be the closest thing, you know.
Oh, okay.
So it's that's the principle. Like, I'm gonna control your joints. I'm gonna choke you, but I don't need to punch your face. I don't need to kick your head. I don't need to, you know, make you bleed or anything like that.
Yeah,
You know? So that's the origin, and that's why we choose the Buddha to represent the source of the origin of jiu-jitsu. You know, like because the Buddha like represents the same Buddhist. You know.
Yeah.
And so jiu-jitsu started with the Buddhism. So like, doesn't matter if you like your religion, whatever you believe, but like if you train jiu-jitsu, come from this source, you know. And after that, after India went to China, and they developed there too in the time of the wars, you know, and everything. But when went to Japan, as we know, man, the Japanese, they are very focused, you know, and they're very disciplined, and same as with the cars, for example. They start doing cars, man, they just become like amazing, you know. So everything that they decide start doing, they become very good, because they're very efficient. So it's the same thing with jiu-jitsu. They got this art, they just like, man, we have a powerful tool in our hands. So man, let's make this even better, you know. And let's lock this between us, because in that time it was a war time, like the samurai age and everything. So man, that was like a advantage, you know, because they didn't have guns back then, but they have like the sword. But at some point you lose your sword in the middle of the battlefield. So what are you gonna do? You have to have something, right? And man, that's when jiu-jitsu, and the gi is the representation of the armor. So the gi is the armor, and the belt is the sword. So because the armor has to be mobile, you don't have like an armor that you go like a robot.
Yeah.
You the joints you could move.
Yeah.
You could like move your knees, you could move your elbow. So you could attack that. So that's when like all the jiu-jitsu positions start to get like more developed, and they were like, man, they did an amazing job in Japan. They were like winning many wars using this tactical, and that's why the samurais, they were so great warriors, you know, because they had this secret weapon that people wasn't familiar yet until come to Brazil. Because when I come to Brazil, we globalize the thing, the Grace family. But so after Japan, they have like these the Kodokan, which was the first Jiu-Jitsu, which was Jiu-Jitsu back then. And this in the Kodokan, they were like this Jigoro Kano was the master, and Mitsui Maeda was one of his disciples, like a rebel, I would say, the rebel disciple, right? And this Jujutsu is the roots of many martial arts. So like from the Jujutsu came the karate, judo, aikido, what else? Jiu-jitsu.
Muay Thai? No.
Muay Thai, no.
I don't think so.
The only martial art that was older than Jiu-jitsu, Jiu-jitsu was the oldest one, but the one that was before was Kung Fu. Kung Fu was even older in China. But like Jiu-jitsu was like many like arms, let's say, like branches, you know.
Yeah.
So Judo got the Jiu-jitsu part, more like the takedowns. Jiu-jitsu were more like specialized in the ground part.
Yeah.
The karate was more like the kicking part, you know. Aikido was more the self-defense, I would say, like the joints and you know. So they got like they split the things. But this student like Mitsui Maeda or Konji Koma, he was a rebel, right? So he wasn't like just following Jigoro Kano and everything. He was a bit like, I just want to fight, you know, like he was a fighter, you know.
Yeah.
And like he decided to leave Kodokan and do his own thing, because he want to fight, and Jigoro Kano wasn't like putting him to fight, and he was like willing to have like to test his jujutsu, right?
Yeah.
And he was start traveling around the world and having these fights, you know, like and sometimes like some fake fights too, you know. So it was just into like fighting anything and getting money from that, you know.
Yeah.
And in one of these travels, he ended up in Brazil, in the north part of Brazil, which he met Gastão Gracie, which is the father of Carlos Gracie and Hiro Gracie, and the other Gracies, like the Gastão Jr., Oswaldo Gracie, George Gracie. And when he met this Japanese guy, he wanted to come to Brazil, and he didn't have like the visa or anything like that. He was just like, he want to fight and, you know, travel around Brazil to fight. And Gastão was just, hold on, if this is gonna work. Have like, imagine you with many like kids, you know, and like your kids are out of control, fighting each other, you know, fighting on the street, you know, full of energy.
Yeah.
And he was kind of like, man, I need help, you know.
Yeah.
So suddenly this guy came, telling he has a background and he's like a martial arts instructor and everything. He was like, oh man, this maybe gonna work for me, you know. And he was working in the embassy, so he has the power to put the guy in or not, you know. So he could like find a way to put Mitsui Maeda back in the Brazil soil, and in exchange he just said, okay, but I want you to teach this martial art thing that you do to my son, you know. And that's when Mitsui Maeda met Carlos Gracie, which was the eldest son. And man, like he fell in love for Carlos, because Carlos was like very like the temperament of Carlos was like similar to the Japanese ones, you know. There's a story that my dad says, like something like in this very like backstage, you know, just the Gracie families know, and was passed to my dad. And that's the good thing, like the story that I'm telling you guys, I didn't read for any book, was from my dad, that got from the master, that got from Hiro Gracie, you know. So it's like it's the roots of the thing, right? It's not like a video or it's something that I studied. No, it's come from the source, you know. And
it's beautiful.
And when like one of these like trainings, Mitsui Maeda was showing the choke, right, the cross choke. And he was putting the kids like queuing up, and he was choking one by one. He said, look, when I finish this, you have to tap. All right, he put like all the kids, and the kids like tapping. When he got to Carlos, he choked, and Carlos didn't tap. I said, all right, I'm gonna keep choking. And Carlos still didn't tap, and he was looking to his eyes, man, you should tap. And Carlos was just like, he wanna really feel, because he had that kind of temperament. And man, Japanese, they love that, right? And like all the Japanese, man, they sleep but they don't tap. They rather
Back in the days, yes.
Yeah, they rather sleep, but they
Yeah.
don't tap, man. So they're very tough, you know, in this way, like they, you know, and that was Carlos did. He faints, the choke, because he didn't tap.
Yeah.
So man, after that episode, man, Mitsumaeda was just like, man, that's this kid. He's special. I'm gonna teach everything I know to this kid, you know. And that's when he started to put all his effort to make Carlos learn. And when Carlos started learning, he started sharing with the brothers. And actually, Helio was like was the youngest one and was pretty fragile. He had like some sickness. He used to faint all the time. He was like a little bit weak. So Carlos was always leaving him a little bit on his side, you know, like man, like you're not ready for that, you know.
Yeah.
And Carlos opened his gym and started teaching and everything, and Helio, because of this let's say disadvantage, he was the one that focused more to learn that. Say, man, if I don't, my body is not perfect to train, I want to be the most technical. So I will be observing every step of my brother. Everything that my brother says, I want to learn this, you know. And he was just like the loyal dog, like say like this. And he ended up, of course, becoming very technical and seeing how to teach. So in one of these like episodes that happened, like Carlos couldn't teach the student, and the student was there in the gym, ready to have the lesson, and Helio was there, and he stepped up and said, I can teach you. I think Carlos is not gonna make it today. I'm gonna teach you. And it looks like the student loved the lesson. And when Carlos arrived, he said, Carlos, don't worry, I wanna learn from your brother now. And Carlos was like, but hold on, but he's not even trained. And Helio said, yeah, but I have been doing my homework, you know, by the side. And you don't know. So like from that day, Carlos started to respect Helio in a way that, okay, man, so you're ready now. And start teach everything to Helio. And
good observation skills.
Yeah, exactly.
Good observation.
And because he has this like a fragile body, let's say like this, because the other brothers, I think Graysi was pretty strong, you know, like and good, you know. People don't mention much about George, but man, looks like George was a beast, man. He was like fighting like one of the best, you know, like he was really, really good. Osvaldo, I don't know much, but like, yeah. But Helio was the one that was following everything that Carlos said. So that's why like he becomes so good. And because he's small and skinny, he becomes super technical and very little, you know. And he was like, man, fighting all the fights. And the Graysi, they have this thing like, if it's like you have to climb the stairs, right?
Yeah.
So first they give you the weakest one, which is not weak because it's a
Usually
machine.
it's the biggest stair.
Exactly. So they start with the weakest and keep going up until the best one. Because George was better than Helio. Helio was the first one to fight, but the first one to fight was already winning all the fights. The weakest was winning. And George was like, hold on, but when I'm going to have a fight for me? I want to fight too, man. And like he ended up like having a little bit of argument with Carlos and ended up doing his own thing too. You know?
Okay.
But and Helio was just following everything. And he's the one that made the name, because I would say Carlos was the head and the mind and the whole, I would say, the guy who had the vision, you know. And Helio was the samurai, the guy that, man, I'm here to fight. You tell me, I'm doing, you know.
Yeah.
And he fought everyone for all the different styles of martial arts. Like let's say like in Brazil, they put in the news that the box champion was visiting Brazil. Carlos was going to the newspaper straight away, like, look, put in the newspaper that we challenge him. We're gonna prove that jiu-jitsu is better than boxing. And man, sometimes they fight, sometimes they don't fight, but like they were challenging every single fighter, like wrestling, Greco-Romana, you know, like.
Oh,
all of them, and just winning everything. And that's when jiu-jitsu the name of jiu-jitsu start to get created. I'm talking like, man, beginning of the century, over 100 years ago. Mate, can I use the time?
Oh yeah, sure.
I'm sorry,
sure, don't
guys.
worry. It's okay. I can pass the time in the meantime. It's all right.
Just a second.
I can just tell them jokes. Just go use. It's all right. Yeah, he's gonna use it in the meantime. Yeah. Just mentioning. I know he didn't say it, but Liao is third degree black belt in jiu-jitsu, and he's my professor for jiu-jitsu. He teaches me right here in Australia. So he's talking a lot about the Guresi family and the origins, which I found very fascinating because I never heard anyone talk about it in the podcast, and I was just curious what's going on there. We're going to talk a bit later about something that are a little bit more relevant to us, like what's going on with Jiu-Jitsu today. Why did he take his gym out of, I wouldn't say out of, but he just put a branch here in Sydney. So what's the story there and what's going on? And a little bit about tips for you guys. Just keep on. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, so just keep on. Maybe, I don't think we'll do any more jokes today though, so we'll see. Okay.
I'm back.
You see, I was able to talk for 2 minutes straight. 3 even.
Yeah, so where we're going?
Yeah, let's just try to change the direction a little bit. You spoke a lot about the Graysies and about the orange. I think our viewers have enough listening time for that for a year.
Yeah, but I can talk.
Oh yeah.
About jiu-jitsu, I can talk here forever.
It's okay. Let's make it more. Let's make it more about you. Okay?
Yeah.
Let's try to make it more about
All
you.
right.
Okay. Like you said, you were starting to teach at Blue Belt. Why did you make the shift? Why did you why did you go from Brazil to Australia? What happened?
Yeah. So, yeah, man. Brazil, man, Rio, what I love, man. I used to have a great life there. It's a great place. The energy, everything. It's just the opportunity, because in Brazil there are so many jiu-jitsu gyms, every single corner. So living from jiu-jitsu in Brazil is not an easy task, because there's so many competition, especially in Rio. So it's like you reach a stage that they're not gonna pass from that, Let's say I have 100 students, you're not gonna be more than that. Just if you a Guresi, Poker Guresi used to have more students, but it's not that easy to, pass that stage.
And then you came here and you found it's the same. No, I'm just kidding.
It's different. Here's way more opportunity, man. You can live from jiu-jitsu, you can have a good life, I remember back in Brazil, I was having I have a double shift, I would say like this. So I used to work in an office during the day and teaching at night. So I need to work all day, in order to make my living. So it's I could do that because I was younger, but maybe nowadays I would be a little bit oh man, too much, So yeah, that was the main motivation. And also, I just want new air, new challenges, new life, It was a little bit of, I'm in my comfortable zone here. Everything's working well. Everything's this is good and everything, but I needed something else, and that's why I decided. I think Australia, the jiu-jitsu was kind of growing, but it wasn't like in America, for example, which is all the best guys there, lots of gyms, So Australia was still have a space to grow. So that was the main motivation. Also the weather. I was thinking about Canada, and I was saying, man, too cold. And other places, and I just now Australia, it's a little bit more similar. They still have a pretty harsh winter.
Yeah.
Which is what's happening now.
Yeah.
it's freezing here.
It's quite surprising, yes.
Yeah. But not that bad, And they have a good summer, which is the main thing for me. So of course the first place that I found was close to the beach because I'm from here, so man, I need that beach vibe, And yeah, man, as soon as I arrived here, was challenging in the beginning because, you know, you're moving countries, like it's, you know, you're foreign here. So, man, you start from zero, and I just have the dream. I just have the will, but I didn't have any plan. I want to live from jiu-jitsu, but how? I don't know. You know, I didn't know anyone. I just come here and say, I'm gonna have a try, you know, give it a go.
Yeah.
And I start like because I have like some connection with Gradcio Maita in Brazil. I came like and talked to the guys there, and I end up like knowing one of the guys. It's like, oh man, like I think I know you from Brazil, and he was the head coach of the Gradcio, and I started did some training there and meeting the guys, and one of these guys, Alex Prates, he was like not like opening his gym like not very long ago, and not now but in the time, and he offered me an opportunity to work and teach there. I said, oh, amazing, let's do it. Well, it was only like once or twice a week, so I still have to find another job. So I did everything, man. I did labor, I did removal, I did gardening for like 1.5 years, you know, like and with Steve, the guy got trained. You know the guy. You know? So man, it wasn't easy, you know. And I started teaching there, and like, you know, at some point the things was a little bit too hard to go. It was like, man, I have to catch a bus, and after that catch a train, and change to another train, get another bus. So it was 2.5 hours to go, and 2.5 hours to come back. Sometimes to teach one class. Yeah. So it was a bit too much, you know. After that, I got a car, but even like that, it was like 1.5 hours by car, you know, because some traffic too, and was tough. So I decided to, you know, and in the meantime, I was starting my own thing. Slowly, actually, it was a funny story too. I met like right at the beginning, like my first week in Australia, and I went to the beach, and I met this group of Chilean guys, and they were training jiu-jitsu too, and they were like, oh man, like start to talk, and it was like, oh man, I train jiu-jitsu. Man, I train jiu-jitsu, nice, I train too. I'm a black belt. It's like, oh, you're a black belt, that's amazing. Like, man, we train this gym here. It was a gym at the beach. I'm not gonna say the name because it was like it was a little bit of a
there was a
crazy experience.
Oh, okay.
And I went there, but like, man, I went there with that Brazilian philosophy, you know, like thinking like all about the respect, you know, like in the honor, because in Brazil it's like we respect each other, you know. If some black belt visit my gym, man, it would be a pleasure, it would be an honor for me. Say, mate, look, so good to have, you know, this guy here, you know, sharing with our students, you know, like it's all about that, you know. There's some etiquette on the mats. So I was expecting the same here. But of course, probably because Australia is not as mature yet in jiu-jitsu. The jiu-jitsu is not like in the culture here like in Brazil. They don't know about this stuff, you know. Some gyms, of course. Other gyms, they know. Yeah. And I went to this gym, and the guy was like a little bit, you know, just a little bit like not giving much entry to me, and I said, all right. And we put me to train with the students. I was a little bit jet lagged. He put me with all the heavier guys, and I was just like going flow with the guys, you know, like not smashing everyone, because I was visiting the gym, you know. So that's the way that I approach. When I visit some gym, I don't go crazy and smash all the students.
Yeah,
what is the point?
It's a weird, it's a good approach, but the gyms from my experience, not here, but back at home, sometimes they're like, oh, when you guys coming, let's see what he's worth.
Yeah, I'm aware of that, and I was aware of that, of course, but even because, man, I'm a black belt, and I was a black belt already, you know, so I can control these guys, you know, so I could understand the energy that could come to me because I was visiting the gym, but even like that, I could just manage to control them, but not necessarily submitting all of them. in front of the professor, because I feel like it's not fair with the professor, you know. Just smashing all the students, you know, it's not nice. I wouldn't like if someone do that in my gym, so I wouldn't do it in another gym.
Yeah.
So that was my approach, you know, just going for but let it go, going for triangle, let it go, you know, not submitting. And the same, at some point I ended up like rolling with him, and of course I wouldn't smash him in front of his students. Like I never would do that, man. Like there's no point to do that, you know.
Yeah.
And I was very chill, man, very relaxed, just flowy, you know, like letting the things happen. And man, he ended up like, you know, he ended up getting a side control. And when he got the side control, it was just there chilling. And man, he started getting super rough, you know, like putting like the elbow and like putting the knee and being a little bit nasty, you know, just
being
like
a bit dirty, yeah.
Yeah, being dirty and just like, all right, okay. And like the round finish, so I didn't have the chance to you know, like, because when you started, okay, you know, now I'm going, but the round finish was like right at the end, and I was like, fuck, you know, like I was just like, man, I didn't have my chance, and I was very like, you know, didn't like it, you know, and I was all right, and he did the lineup, didn't mention anything, didn't mention like, good to have Leo with us or anything like that. No, didn't say anything, and I'll say, all right, I will come back. And this was like a Wednesday, and I tried to go there on Friday, but the time schedule was different. So when I arrived, they were finishing, and I was there just like, they were about to close the gym. I said, man, like, because the open mat is a little bit earlier on Friday. Yeah. And I was like, but let's have a roll, you know, like just, you know, don't lose the travel. And it was, no, we're leaving. I said, all right. So I have to digest this over the weekend, you know, like it just like, man, I'm gonna come back there, man. And on Monday, I knew the right time. I said, okay, I'm gonna do now. And I went there, man, we have expression in Brazil, with the knife in my mouth, right? So I just went. He did the same strategy. He tried to tire me out with the students, putting all the bigger guys. But that day I was just like, man, I don't care anymore. You don't respect me, so I just like submitting everyone. Yeah. And like after the fourth round, he was like, go with this guy here. I said, no. Now I'm going with you. Now let's go. And he was, all right. And I just remember like, man, it was just like I shook the hand. And when I shook the hand, it was just like almost like a flying armor. Just like the guy sit. I step my leg diagonal, you know that one? I go diagonal, pull the sleeve, boom, pass the leg over the head, and just super tight, and then the guy not even tap, he just screams, and I say, I just shake the hands again, so let's go, another elbow, he scream again, and I was like, after two like this, two submissions like super quick, he came to me and said, hey man, look, you can submit me, but just don't hurt me. And even if no English, because my English was pretty poor back then, I would just say, Nate, for me it works like this, you know, I'm from Brazil, and where I came from, jiu-jitsu starts and ends with respect. If you respect me, I'm gonna respect you back. But if you don't show respect, why I should show respect to you, mate? So now we're gonna fight, and let's keep going, and just shake the hand again, and just keep going, man, keep going. I submitted the guy like many times. I lost the count, you know. And look at how crazy it is. In that day, after I smash him, in the lineup, he started to, such a like honor for us. Got Leo here from Brazil, and his father, and like coral belt, and I was like, man, now, so I have to smash you to deserve your respect. You know, this belt here doesn't mean anything, you know. Like, come on, man. Like, it just like, I mean, this is not the attitude that I'm used for.
Maybe I'm going to see it in a positive way, okay? Maybe you're not going to like it. I'm telling you right now. Yeah. Because it's natural. Like, for me, it's natural. If there's a black belt in the gym, if I were a black belt, that black belt just stands next to me at the beginning, and I introduce, hey, there's a new guy here. Like, there's a new black belt. He's gonna like, that's obvious to me. Mm-hmm. Okay? But sometimes, like, there were a lot of videos that came up I don't know if during that time, but a lot of stuff came up of people that, it's called fake belts. Okay, or maybe not fake, just someone gave them a black belt when they're not really in that talent, in that position. So that's how he saw it, and that's why he didn't do it, I think, maybe. But I don't know. I like to give people the benefit of the doubt a lot.
But what I don't know, man. I'm training jiu-jitsu for 24 years. So I think once you get your black belt, when you're in the level of a black belt, man, you have been in the journey for a long time. So you can sense these kind of things. You can sense if the guy is walking in the gym and he wants to challenge you. And you can sense if the guy is coming with a good vibe and just want to, visiting your gym.
Yeah, I understand.
So I come there with open heart, man. I was so chill. I was like smiling. I was relaxed. I wasn't like, going crazy, like staring at him or anything like that, So he should have a little bit of a better...
Yeah, he should have better understanding.
Better understanding.
Better reading what's going on.
And I understand the fake thing, but man, I noticed if the guy's a fake black belt like this.
Yeah.
In the first round that I put him with my student, I know, man, this guy's not a black belt,
Yeah.
And like the way that they move, even in the warm-up, even before the roll, the way that they move in the warm-up, I can tell, So, yeah, I understand what you're saying, but I don't think was the case. I think it was more like he wants to prove himself, like, man, I'm gonna get the Brazilian black belt, because it was an Aussie, And it felt great, man, because that was good, because I felt like almost like, fuck, man, I come all the way from Brazil. I never had this experience back then in Brazil, and I arrived in Australia. The first gym that I visit, that's the way that they're gonna welcome me. All right, now I know how the things work here, and just like, it's just my whole, it's the ancestors, my whole family tree.
Yeah.
I just say, I cannot leave this thing like finish like this. I need to do something about that, And that was good because that was when everything started. My joining here in the teaching here, because of that. Because these Chileans, I didn't know, but they were filming the whole time when I was rolling the guy, and I was like, I didn't know, so it was like I didn't went to the gym anymore, and 1 week later I was in Manly, and I was like visiting there, and it was like this place which was like a reggae place and some music, and I was there just chilling, having a beer and just relaxing there, and suddenly one guy came and said, "Hey, master." I said, "Master? It's not with me because I don't teach here yet. Like I have no students.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Hey, master, you, mestre," and he started saying Portuguese. "Hey, mestre." I said, "Fuck, she's with me." And the guy came and I didn't recognize him. And suddenly he come closer, just I think I know you. Yeah, the Chilean guy. Yeah, nice man. How's it going? I said, "Mate, we were there. We were watching your role with the guy." And man, that was insane. Man, we don't like that guy, man, because he was like a bad coach, I would say. Like
yeah, that happens sometimes. Yeah.
Because he was like putting the white belts to sleep, that kind of attitude, like putting all the white belts to sleep and going doing this kind of thing and laughing, and so even the students, they didn't like him because he was an asshole, a dickhead, So when they saw like my attitude and the way that I deal with the thing, they were like, "Yes, someone to smash him," and like they come to me and say, "Look, we don't want to learn from him anymore. We want you as a professor." And I was like, "Yeah, man, that's fine, but I don't have a gym, so what we're gonna do?" And it was like, "Man, we have a living room and we put the mats because it was like 4 Chileans living together, right?" And they put like the living room was just mats.
Oh.
So that was my first jiu-jitsu gym, if you can call it gym, And that was
a good start.
Yeah, it was the first place.
Okay.
And like from there, the Chileans start to talk to the other friends because the Chilean community is very connected. So more Chileans start to come, more South American people start coming. And at some point, just like, all right, I think I have enough students to start to find a place.
Yeah.
And you start looking for places, and getting to teach. we were like moving around and just like, going to the gyms and until like we get where we are now,
To the Bondi
Lots of
Junction, the
students.
Bondi Junction old one?
Yeah,
No, there
like
was another one before that, right?
before that was like living room of the Chilean guys.
Yeah.
After that, we went to 8 Limbs, which was like a Muay Thai gym.
Mm.
And they have like availability from 8 p.m.
Mm-hmm.
And 8 p.m. in Brazil was the best training, the best time, the busiest one. So I just said, yeah, man, let's do it. 8 p.m. Perfect.
No one comes.
Man, 8 p.m. here in Australia, like, it's dead.
No, everyone's
It's
sleeping.
like that. Everybody's sleeping. So, man, of course, it didn't work very well. And we moved to Oxford Street for a few months. And in this Oxford Street place, they were knocking down the building. And I moved to Bronson Road. And that's when like the gym started to grow. And it was like a tiny place with small gym, man, but full of killers, man. I mean, I have like amazing memories from there. It was a very good time, And from there we grew, and after we grew, we decided to get a bigger step, in going for the gym that we are now, which is bigger and we still growing, man. Still the things are going well. We opened another branch in Wollongong. These Chilean guys end up like getting back to Chile, and they opened the Origin Chile there. So which was like very good too.
It's so nice. That's spreading the word.
Spreading the word, exactly. Because they were training with me for a little while, like for like 2-3 years,
Yeah.
And they went there, and I was the guy that is a brown belt nowadays, and we have another guy black belt, which is like the professor there. And he went
Your black belt?
Yeah, he went to Brazil. He got the black belt from us, from myself and my dad. We did like the exam with him. We tested him a little bit, and he ended up getting the black belt. So now we have Origin Santiago as well. So we're getting our fingerprint.
Yeah, you get branches all over.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, let's get to the next section, and we're just gonna go from there to advice, and that's We already are recording for like an hour and a half already.
Oh, really? Wow. I can talk, man.
Well, beautiful. You can talk as much as you can. I'm going to have to work with it later, so don't worry about it. Okay, let's start with this. Let's start with training tips for the individual, okay? Let's start with, do you think Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is for everyone?
Look, I understand when they say that, but I disagree with this. I think it's for everyone, for every individual, like doesn't matter the gender, the race, whatever. Yes, but you have to be a certain type of individual to stick with jiu-jitsu, because jiu-jitsu, it's a long journey. It's not easy. It will be hard. You're gonna have injuries. You're gonna have like up and downs, And man, if you're not a resilient person, you don't stick. So it's not for everyone. You have to be a certain kind of guy,
some kind of mentality, right?
Exactly. You need a certain mindset.
I have to mention this is the longest time that I've been practicing jiu-jitsu straight with you. Yeah. Like you need to get to a certain kind of mental maturity to do that.
100%. That's why many people quit in the white belt, They start training and they feel like, oh man, it's going to take a long time to, progress here.
When I got the blue belt, I just stopped.
That's a classic one.
It's the common one. I just stopped, and then I tried to go back again, but I didn't really try, and then I went because I don't think I had a good coach, to be honest, when I was back in Israel, but. Good, like he's a really good competitor coach, not good common people coach, I'd say. I don't want to mention his name either, by the way.
Yeah, of course.
You
don't have to.
Yeah, I had other good coaches though, but they were just didn't work out with my life back then. But what I'm saying is, when I came to New Zealand, I restarted my training, and then I came here and I restarted my training. It was really good. So I'd say yes. I'd say BJJ is not for everyone. You need to be in a certain mental state to just say, okay, I'm just going to go with this.
Yeah.
Just going to go with this.
I agree.
Okay. Let's continue with the common advice, the common things. How is a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu training conducted? This is like classic beginner's question. What do we do in the practice? So this is...
Like it's we usually start of how you tie your belt. That's the start. That's how everything starts. You know, you have to tie your belt before you step on the mat.
Yeah, usually another person helps you before you go there. Yes.
Especially like in the beginning, you need the help, you know.
Yeah.
And after, I always like to, just like of course, just overall, like about the etiquette on the mats. Just explain to the guy, look, man, this is not, you're not in the pub, you know, you're not in your house. You have to, there's some rules here. It's not like an army, but we have rules, you know. So
don't worry about me.
If you wanna, for example, go to the toilet in the middle of the class, you have to ask permission. If you wanna drink water, you have to ask permission. Before you step on the mats, you bow. You wait for me to like invite you to come in, you know. Yeah. So there are a few things that I think it's important to stick. I know nowadays people don't care about this stuff anymore. But man, I come from an old school background, and I think this is so important, man.
You need to know what's going on in your practice. Suddenly someone disappears, like what happened.
Exactly. So it's not like we don't swear on the mats, of course. So there are a few things that you need to guide the guy right at the beginning, so he knows what's going on. After that, we like the format of the class. Usually, we have a warm up. You know, we do the warm up. Maybe like around 15 minutes, you know, depending on the day.
Yeah.
And after that, we do some drills or techniques, or, you know, working some takedowns or self-defense. After that, we do some stuff in the ground. And after that, we have the sparring session. Yeah. Which is if the first part will be the theory part, the sparring will be the practice.
Sometimes, and it's very important, I feel like it's very important to mention that they're intertwined. It means when you do the sparring part, sometimes, especially with beginners, you start with situational sparring and then sparring.
Yeah, of course. You have to do the situational first because, you know, when the guy had no idea what jiu-jitsu is, he can hurt himself, he can get someone hurted, which is like common too, because they're gonna go crazy, you know, have no idea what he's doing. So it's important to do slowly, you know, it's a process. So start with the, you know, situational training, feel how it goes. I like that chess one that I love to do with the beginners. You know, the chess one. I do one move, you do another move. Yeah. You do one move, you do another one.
I like that one. I saw that you told beginners to do it.
Jiu-jitsu is a human chess, right? So you have to. It's super important to make them understand that it's like a action reaction. I do something, you have to do something about that. And now you come with another answer. Yeah. And now I respond with a different answer, and never ends, you know? Yeah,
never. When you go to a practice, what are the things that, like the main, like there's not one thing I would say, but what are the main things you need to pay attention to, I'd say? What do you need to take from it?
Man, one thing that I really like every time I step on the mats, it's getting that understanding and the daily practice of dealing with my ego. All right, I think that's one of the most beautiful thing about jiu-jitsu, and we don't find in other things, you know, which is like this daily exercise of dealing with your ego. And the meaning of dojo, which is the place that we train, is dress out your ego. So when you step on the mats, you should leave your ego outside, you know. And this is something beautiful, man, because like where is the other thing that you do that you're gonna be dealing with the ego that like directly? Yeah. It's almost like a mirror, you know. So if you go there and you're going crazy, spazzy, it's your problem. Or I go so crazy that I got injured. The guy like injured me? No, I injured myself. Yeah. So you should take your own responsibility, you know. So yeah, man, I think dealing with the ego is something that never ends, you know. Even you are black belt, man, you have some days that you're gonna be dealing with the ego in a better way. Other days you're gonna be a little bit more angry because someone sweep you or did something with you, you know. But so it's like it's a beautiful thing, you know.
Yeah. But if I make it more specific, like when someone teaches me the techniques, like I'm not like the ego is very important, but when I go to the class and I observe, okay, and someone teaches me the techniques, I don't look at the technique. I try to figure out the goal. Okay? So, for example, or the small stuff that leads to the bigger stuff. For example, stages. Okay? Everything in Jiu-Jitsu goes through stages. Guard pass is through stages. Takedown is through stages.
Yeah.
Everything goes through stages. So that, I look at that. I look at...
So I think when you start the Jiu-Jitsu journey, rather than try to understand the technique as a whole, you should focus in the concepts behind the technique.
Yeah.
Because when you learn the concepts, you can use these concepts in like every aspect of Jiu-Jitsu, you know. So like, as you said, like balance, my base, how I position my knees in order to make harder for the guy to work in some sort of guard. How I grip in a right way that will be harder for him to break this grip. You know, so these concepts, it's the main thing. So if you go there and the guy is teaching one umber, you're gonna see like, okay, but what he did there in order to get that submission, you know, and get the finishing. He squeezes his knees. All right, he get the thumb and he hold and he put the arm in the same direction of the pinky.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like those kind of things. I think if there is no shortcut in Jiu-Jitsu. You have to keep showing up, you have to keep training. But if there is one thing that I think makes a difference is working in your concepts and trying to think that every time you go there, you're gonna pick up one little detail, one little thing, because you're not gonna learn the whole technique. You have to practice 1,000 times the same technique in order to really get it. But if you get one little detail, that you should go home and feel proud of yourself, you know. So you stick with the little things rather than the overall. And of course, man, I try to train smart. I think that's the other very important thing. Like, I know it's hard for a white belt, you know, but like, and that's why I think like the girls usually they learn quicker than the boys. Yeah. Because the girls they don't have this like testosterone kind of thing, you know. The boys come with too much testosterone, they go crazy, they blind, pretty much. Yeah. And like, Jiu-Jitsu is all about technique, it's not about brute strength, you know. Yeah. So if you had technique, you're gonna become better. So try to like focus more on the technique rather than strength. So if you see yourself like shaking, using a lot of strength, start breathing and try to make the thing flow, you know. Try to relax more and has to be enjoyable. I don't like the idea of like people have this picture of Jiu-Jitsu guy is the guy like with an angry face, cauliflower ears, and just like super tough.
That's the opposite of my experience.
Opposite, man. You wanna be like smiling, you know. You wanna have fun. You wanna have a good time. Should be the best time of the day, you know. If you're there and you're angry, you're stressed, man, you're doing something wrong, right? Yeah. Man, you should be stressed at work. Not on the mats. On the mats, you want to be happy, man. You want to be, you know, enjoying with your friends, having a laugh, you know?
Yeah. Okay, let's go to a different one. Like, it's kind of, I'm saying, and you could just, I don't know, you can just do it. When I started Jiu-Jitsu on my first practice, first training, I was 17. And I didn't understand there was a different kind of exercise. Because I used to play basketball before that. And then I went to Jiu-Jitsu, and on my first practice, I went outside and I had to puke. Because I ate something small before. I ate something small and then just
classic
go
thing.
Yeah, so...
Classic white belt thing.
Yeah.
I'm joking. Even higher belts.
It's alright. I deserve it. I take it with pride. I take it with pride, yeah. So I think like, when you go to Jiu-Jitsu, you should expect different kind of exercise, even if you're in good shape.
Yeah, 100%. Man, I always say that. Even like, I don't know, get the fittest guy there, Usain Bolt, whatever. You put Usain Bolt to train Jiu-Jitsu, he's gonna gas. Probably like in the first round, you know? Yeah. Because it's different, man. Like it's, you use your whole body, you know? It's like anaerobic. It's like, the grips is something that gets you like very tired, you know. It's super dynamic. So it's like a mind game, but it's also like a body game, and it's like, man, it's like full on, you know. So and the other thing, of course, is the energy from the other guy coming at you, and going 100%. Because for example, basketball, it's your team. You have another team. You have times that you're playing, and sometimes the other guy's playing. So you don't play the whole time, right?
Yeah.
You have times
Sometimes
that you're just running around, you're moving, but you don't have the ball with you.
Yeah, you're trying to get to a good position sometimes, but you don't have the ball with you.
Exactly.
Which causes
in jiu-jitsu,
it's always action reaction, always.
Action reaction the
always,
whole time, no stop. And man, you have to go until the end of the round, right? So that's the thing that, especially in the beginning, we tend to not dosage. I can't say that. We tend to not use the time in your favor. You just go crazy in the beginning. You get gas, and you see, man, still 3 minutes to go, and you're exhausted already, you know, and you just So like you have to be smart in the way that you train, you know, like you think that you have to roll, and you have to last until the end of the round.
I'd say another thing. It's a little bit off topic, but if I combine jiu-jitsu with gym, okay, specifically lower body, lower body and core, really helps to prevent injuries.
100%.
Really helps to prevent injuries. So
we have to do like our homework. Like if you want to train jiu-jitsu and you want to think about longevity and being the journey without like injury free, we have to do some workouts, some stretching, you know. It's so important, man. Like, I know that sometimes it's hard to find time to do everything, you know, like we have like, you know, nowadays like everybody has a busy life, but like if you can, you know, do your homework, you know, doing some stretching, doing some functional training, it's the best. We don't need like heavy, like
not heavy. You're not going crazy. No. I'm not like when I go to the gym.
Lightweight, repetition, you know.
Not heavy, like just have some resistance, but
because you have to protect the joints, right? Because we use a lot our joints, so we need the muscles to protect the areas, you know, in order to get like a guy getting an American, like a torsion on your shoulder or torsion on your knee or on your ankle. So you need to build your body a little bit, you know.
Yeah, I'd say. Okay, I'm gonna skip this part. We have how to get ready for a comp. Yeah. You know what? Let's talk about this. Getting ready for competition, maybe a little bit.
So man, like the competition, it's a very intense part of the jiu-jitsu, you know, but also super important because when you go there, you test yourself in the highest level possible, you know, like in a way that, man, you have a guy coming 110% at you. It's the closest thing to a real fight, you know, on the street. Let's say like this. So you have to, like, you know, deal with your nerves, with your anxiety, and also with their nerves and their anxiety. So it's like, it's a lot of things going on there, all right? Yeah. So I think the best way to do it, man, is just like try to go there without any fixed thoughts. You know, don't put too much pressure on yourself. Yeah. Especially like in the first times that you go to compete. We want to go there thinking like, man, I'm coming here with a goal of first, not get injured, and second, I want to learn. And when you step on the mats, when you're competing, you're learning like a lot, you know. So it's like, that's why like we say like there is no losing jiu-jitsu. You rather win or you learn, because man, you go there, man, even if the guy submits you, you're gonna be super pissed off, right? Yeah. And you're gonna be thinking about that, you know, man, how that guy got me in that position, and that thinking will make you be like way more aware. So let's say he got you in a ankle lock. You're gonna be, man, when you go to the gym, you're gonna be training just ankle lock escape, because you don't want this happening again. You know,
never.
You're gonna ask the guy, man, put him in the ankle lock. Let's see what can I do here. You know, because you know, it's common like you lose your first comps. You know, it's very common. Like especially if you find another guy that's more experienced than you.
Yeah.
But of course, you can be very good too, and like with a good mindset, and end up like winning. I've seen this like many times too. The guy first comp getting the medal, you know, which is amazing. But like, varies, you know, depends of how the person deals with the pressure, you know, like. But I think it's always productive. It's because we need to be out of our comfortable zone. We need to face the discomfort. That's how we grow in life. Not only jiu-jitsu, but in life. Jiu-jitsu for me is the metaphor of life, you know. If you can deal like in a pressure like situation like this, and you can deal well, you can control your nerves, you can kind of like, okay, I can figure out what I'm doing here. Man, you can do that like in life too. Yeah. You know, like if your boss start to give you shit, you're not gonna give you shit back. You're kind of like, I think it better I listen to this now and not say anything. I need this job, I need the money, you know. So I think jiu-jitsu, when you start training jiu-jitsu, you see jiu-jitsu everywhere, you know. And I think the competition is the most intense situation that you can put yourself out, you know. Like it's almost like like the gladiator, you know.
Yeah.
Like put yourself to fight the lions, you know. It's you and the lion, and what are you gonna do?
Yeah.
Flight or fight.
Fight or flight. The joke.
Exactly.
The joke. Go back to the joke. Okay. Okay. Let's go for advice. You ready? Advice. We call it before every time we go to advice. We say advice section. Okay, it's the advice section. We stuff that we're getting. Well, basically sometimes off the internet. Sometimes people send us stuff that's just interesting. So, for example, like one of these advice. For example, am I a quitter? Maybe you're not typical Reddit advice, but hear me out. Long story short, I've been training powerlifting for 5 years, and I always wanted to be a world champion one day. I've always had the chip on my shoulders and wanting to prove something. Maybe it was because how I was raised. Just saying, I'm just gonna magnify it for me. I have a smaller screen. This year I ranked the top 3 in the world in my weight class, which is my highest achievement so far. The problem is I'm starting to burn out. Training hasn't been the same for the last 1.5 years. I forgot that last time I enjoyed and actually wanted to train. Yet this day I've never missed a training session. Recently I've been getting interested in watching Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and combat sport in general. I've been thinking of making a switch and try my luck in combat sport again. The goal is to win a world title. If I switch, is this a cop-out? Should I be embarrassed for even thinking about being a world champion, not following through with what I've said? Because I feel really bad about it. Not very good spelling, the guy, I have to say.
I don't think it's embarrassing at all. I think that should be the goal, right? Like if you want to start doing something and you want to be competing, you want to thinking of being the best, you know. If you're not thinking of being the best, what is the point of starting, you know? So like if you think about competing, right?
Yeah.
You think about like I'm going to the competition, you know, like I don't want to think like I'm sucks, you know, like I'm gonna go here and just like I'm gonna get smashed, you know, because I'm so bad, you know, like this is not the mindset, you know. You go there, you wanna at least have something in your head, you know, like I wanna give my best there. Yeah. If my best is not enough, big deal. I'm gonna come back. I'm gonna train harder, and I'll come back better. You know. So I think that should be the mindset. You're always trying to be the best version of yourself. Yeah. You know.
I think the guy said he used to do weightlifting, and he got to 3rd place in a world championship. He got to 3rd place, which is
amazing.
Like terrific. And he said, and then he couldn't, and then he just doesn't enjoy it anymore. And I don't think he gave up. I think he got to the peak.
Yeah, just like lost the interest.
Yeah, you just got to you got the peak of it. Like, it's 3rd place is a medal. So yeah, you got and in a world championship. Like think about if you know someone from a world championship in jiu-jitsu, like a proper world championship in jiu-jitsu. Like, 3rd place, like the
guy's a beast, man.
Yeah, you're a beast.
It must be like, man, the 3rd in the whole world. man, he's amazing.
Yeah.
Of course.
So I don't think it's a cop out. It's more like just you
No,
peaked
man, like,
and you lost interest.
And look, if he got to the third place, he already have that champion mindset.
Yeah.
Because once you have that champion mindset, you just need to switch to something else, right? So whatever, anything you do, man, in life, is that mindset that you have to be thinking about. If you got like third place, he's already like that kind of like committed guy, resilient. He goes, and if he starts jiu-jitsu, I'm sure that he's gonna be the same, you know.
Yeah.
You're gonna be training hard. You're gonna be like, man, I wanna be the best.
It's gonna be terrific.
I wanna get to the world champ. I wanna be, you know, like, so this is amazing. You know, I think he should do the switch, and I'm sure he's gonna be very good in jiu-jitsu. You know, just like, of course, don't think that the things are gonna be quick and fast. Take some time to become in that good, like you think. You know.
Definitely, yes. Yeah. Takes time.
Takes time.
Jiu-jitsu takes time. You need to understand.
Yeah.
You need to not just be in the right mindset, you need to understand the game.
Yeah, you can always make quicker the road, of course. Like, let's say one guy that trained 3 times per week, right, for years. But the other guy trained 3 times a day. So who's gonna go like and learn faster? You know, like
3 times a day guy, sorry.
So like we can always make it a little bit faster.
Yeah, okay. Let's go for another one. If you're watching UFC. Given the success of Charles Oliveira, I just wanted to ask how there's no Khabib and Charles Oliveira. Just wanted to know if there are more grapplers in the UFC. Is there something to do with the rules, or striking looks more exciting? Even without more grappling-based guys, Khabib and Oliveira, it just seems that a lot of guys don't even do what GSP does, and which was to really be a mixed martial artist and combine grappling with the striking to create something that is more the sum of the parts. Yeah. Just wanted to ask what do you think?
Yeah, first we have to make a big distinction of MMA and Jiu-Jitsu, right?
Yeah.
Man, the guy can punch your face, the guy can kick your face. Like it's a totally different game, right? Yeah. But man, like the whole story of the UFC and Vale Tudo back in the days before UFC, like it started with Jiu-Jitsu being the most dominant art, and whoever knows Jiu-Jitsu end up being better and beating the other martial arts.
Yeah.
You know? So that was the beginning of everything. But before was the martial arts against each other. So Jiu-Jitsu against Karate, Jiu-Jitsu against boxing, Jiu-Jitsu against Muay Thai, Jiu-Jitsu against Capoeira. But not nowadays, with the mixed martial arts, everybody does everything. And because everybody does everything, it's not that simple to apply Jiu-Jitsu when the other guy knows Jiu-Jitsu too. Because like to step in the octagon, man, you need to know a little bit. You have to train a little bit of the ground part. You know, you have to know a little bit of wrestling. You have to know a little bit of standing.
Yeah.
You know, so like you, as the name says, like you need to know a little bit of everything. You know, so or at least knowing how to avoid the fight to go to the ground.
Yes,
that's like many people work in that.
That's very common, like Adesanya and like Chuck Liddell at the time.
Exactly.
Just didn't want to go to the ground.
And one thing that I get very, I'd say like disappointed sometimes is just many like high-level jiu-jitsu fighters, like black belt, world champions, and like they were like amazing in jiu-jitsu. They go to UFC and they stop using jiu-jitsu, and I just don't get it, because like that's your main skill. If it is my main skill, why am I not gonna apply this in the octagon, man? Like it doesn't make sense to me, you know. Like I understand that if you already have jiu-jitsu, you have to be like focus a lot in the standing part. You have to fight more like on your feet and everything. But in the first chance that you have to put the fight to the ground, man, you take it.
Some people do it. Like you said, Oliveira does it beautifully.
Oh yeah, of course,
like he can strike with you, but the moment he has the chance to take it to the ground, he'll take it. He will take it with two hands.
But there are many guys that like black belts. They don't use jiu-jitsu when they go in the octagon. And you can see that they have chances to use it, but they just don't use it. You know, and it's funny. For example, I know he was a champion who was winning everything, but Jose Aldo was a black belt, very good, He won many world titles, but like I always wonder, like, man, he never uses jiu-jitsu, man. I don't know why.
Yeah, like I remember he had he was knocked out by McGregor, and I thought,
Yeah.
like, dude, you're a black belt. You're a good
Yeah,
black
much
belt.
better.
You're a
than McGregor.
great
Yeah,
grappler.
yeah,
Just get into the octagon and put the guy on his back,
yeah, exactly.
and the guy and that'll be it.
But that was like very unfair in a way that man, he
Yeah.
was winning for fucking 10 years, you know, like
Yeah.
non-stop, like just winning the belt.
Yeah.
The challenge come, he was winning.
Yeah.
And suddenly one challenge come, like do like a one lucky
Yeah,
shot,
one punch. Yeah,
one lucky shot,
it was one like that.
and man, that's it. You never had the chance to have the fight again against the guy again, you know. And everybody was like, oh yeah, like no.
I would like to see that fight again.
Boo, like what? Come on, man. The guy was winning for 10 years. What McGregor did, like, he won like how many?
Yeah.
That's it. He's gone. He's finished.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, it's not fair. I like, the thing about UFC nowadays, man, is all about the marketing, the promotion, and how you sell yourself, you know? So, Jose Aldo is a fighter.
Yeah.
That's it. He's not good with marketing. He's not good of selling himself. McGregor, he's amazing selling himself. He's the best one.
McGregor,
ever.
Sonnen, yes, they
The
were.
best one selling himself.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like he was the first one to talk to Dana White about, like, no, man, I know how much I value. I know the pay-per-view. I know all this stuff. And Dana was just like, man, yeah, I have to, you know, I have to say you're right, you know? So he was very smart. But like, as a fighter, man, come on, Jose Aldo did way more, you know? Like,
Yeah.
and he never had a chance to fight him again. Of course, after that fight, I think he got frustrated and he never came back to the same,
Yeah.
you know, Jose Aldo. But he's still amazing, man. I'm a big fan of him. Yeah.
Mm. Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah. So, I think, yeah, that was the question, right? That's, I think, covered.
Yeah. So yeah. So you understand the frustration the guy's having.
Yeah. Man, I'm the first one who want to see jiu-jitsu. Like, for the crowd,
You know.
they don't like when a fight goes to the ground.
Yeah.
Just
You
like,
know.
boo, man. I love that. That's the best part, man.
I know when I watch UFC, I watch UFC with friends of mine sometimes that they don't do jiu-jitsu, don't do even a little bit jiu-jitsu, and they're like, oh my god, it's went to the ground again. I'm like,
Yeah.
my time to shine.
Exactly.
You see, he's doing the crossface and he's doing for there. He's going to the side. That's what's going. Like, oh, okay.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
It's the fun part for us.
Yeah. Really understand. Okay, let's go. I'm apprehensive about rolling at my gym. I've been training in this gym for a year now, and I'd say it's made up of about half white belts, half upper belts. I found I always love rolling with the upper belts because they're slow and controlled, but whenever this is going to be associated with something we wanted to talk about. Whenever I roll with other white belts, I'm constantly fear of getting injured, even when they're the same skill level or higher. They go hard and they're so aggressive. My question is how is this taught out of white belts? I caught on after rolling with higher belts and mimicking them, and also after my first competition where I realized the amount of energy I used in a single roll isn't suitable. But is this something that should be emphasized more in the gym? Currently, it's never been talked. It's never talked about. I think the main problem is that white belts just don't know any better. Should I talk to the black belt about my concerns? I just hate always feeling so apprehensive before a roll. It takes away a lot of fun from me in the long run. So he's basically talking about white belts being aggressive, and I would continue this with, we have one girl in our gym that she got injured. She got injured when she rolled with a white belt and he was too aggressive, and that happens sometimes. Even if doesn't matter how much we try to control it, it just happens in every gym.
Yeah.
Okay? And how do you take it out of them? How do you take it out of them? Well,
yeah, man. Like, these, I'm sure, like, that many people are familiar with that. Like, every gym, like, this happen a lot. For me, the best way to make at least this a little bit better, because it's hard to control, right? It's like we're dealing with human beings, and everybody is different. Is the coach must be into it, you know. So what I like to do is like I see a white belt, and I see the white belt going aggressive with a girl.
Yeah.
Next row he goes with me.
Yeah, you gotta.
And yeah, I'm gonna show him like the best way to see, like, mate, you wanna be aggressive, there'll be always someone being more aggressive than you, and they're gonna be like smashing you. So you have to understand from the beginning that you roll with a girl is the same way that you treat a girl like outside the match.
Yeah.
You have to use that as an opportunity. Say, man, like, go roll with me, you know, like let's say this guy, white belt, rolling with other white belt, super aggressive. And now I have a chance to roll with a girl. Amazing, because now I can just rely on technique. I can be more flowy. I can be relaxed. I don't need to use my strength. I can just flow, you know. So that's the best way to do, like when you roll with a girl, you know. You want to roll with a girl, man. I love to roll with the girls because it's so more technical. It's a lot of fun, you know. It's way more jiu-jitsu happening.
Yeah.
With another white belt, like it's just like a fight. There's no jiu-jitsu. They're both blind, like two bulls shocking their heads, like bam, 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 bam.
Yeah.
And it's like not much jiu-jitsu. It's just aggressiveness, you know.
Yeah.
So like I think the whole and the job of the coach is being very into. And let's say you see the aggressiveness going like out of control, you just stop. Say, hey guys, put some water in your face. I think you're going too crazy here, you know, before they get injured, you know. And you have to guide the guy. Say, mate, look, two options that's gonna happen here. Or you're gonna injure him, or you're gonna injure yourself. We don't want any of the options, right?
Yeah.
So calm down, man. Hold your horses.
Yeah.
You don't need to go crazy. We're not in the world championship here, man.
Yeah.
So you don't need to prove anything to anyone. You know, your white belt, you start learning this, just chill, just relax, you know? And usually these guys more aggressive, like as a coach, what I like to do, I try to put them with more higher belts and less with the other white belts, you know? Because I think by rolling with the white belt, the higher belts, start to teach him how to be humble.
Yeah.
Because they're gonna get submitted many times, and when you get humble, you start to get more relaxed and you start to chill a little bit more and get less anger.
Yeah,
you know?
you also get, like, they would also get submitted and not with a lot of effort.
Exactly.
Like,
so he's gonna see that. He's gonna see this happening. For example, Carol, she got pregnant. She had injuries, so she was like a long time, like a little bit out of the journey. But Carol was always my welcoming to the big guys and aggressive, because that's amazing, you know. Like you get a guy like massive guy, I don't know, 100 kilo, super strong, come from rugby or come from powerlifting or whatever. The guy's massive. Come in here and have a roll with my girl. Man, the guy's gonna be like, what? Oh my God! Like two things can happen. One thing, he's gonna be like, man, I need to learn this thing. And I want to get into jiu-jitsu straight away when it's like how the girl just play with him. You know? And the other thing, he gonna have his ego super like hurted. They're gonna be like, oh man, I'm not doing this anymore. You know? Like, I'm so strong. I always think I was tough. And now as a girl kicking my ass, you know, like. But that's jiu-jitsu, man. Yeah. This is all about like the small guy beating the bigger guys, the girl beating like a guy or a kid. Very good kid being a grown man guy, you know, like, and this is like it's very common. Yeah. So I think once as a white belt you see this thing happening and you see this atmosphere, how the things work, you just think, oh man, you know what? I think I'm doing this wrong. I should chill a little bit more. I know that takes time. It's not like this. It's not like a switch.
Yeah.
But if the coach is always like bragging, like insane, these kind of things, you know, and just like a mantra, you know, guys, be gentle, don't hurt yourself, avoid injuries. You don't need to go crazy here. We're not in the world championship. Just relax, man. We are here to learn. We're here to become better. And also, if you hurt your training partner today, you're not going to be training with him tomorrow. So you're not going to have a training partner tomorrow. So we need each other here. So what is the point to go crazy and hurt someone? So I think that it's the main thing is the professor. The professor has to be into it, you know. So that's why I like the idea of like, you know, when I see the white belts, I want to be always watching the rules, you know, always like looking and come here, let's have a chat, you know, and be into it because they don't know.
No.
They don't know. They need someone to guide them.
Yeah.
They're not gonna just like leave them there. They're gonna learn by themselves. It doesn't work like that. You need to guide a little bit, you know. So I think this is the main thing for me.
Yeah. So, advice. Go to your coach. Okay. That's all for advice. We're getting to the end. Okay. We get to stupid questions. Okay. First question: if you're going to lose, you know you're going to lose. Would you prefer getting choked or getting an armbar?
What about not? I don't want to lose. I don't know, man. Like choke or armbar. Maybe choke would be less painful.
Yeah, I'd rather the choke.
Yeah. Armbar can be sore.
Takes a long time.
The arm's gonna be sore, you know.
Yeah, maybe if the guy's going too rough on the arm.
Yeah, but I don't wanna sleep either because sleep looks bad. I have to tap before I faint, you know.
Yeah. Okay. If you're in training, okay?
Yeah.
Okay. Are you gonna prefer grappling with a UFC fighter that has a bit of everything, or with a pro wrestler? Not from entertainment, like a wrestler that goes to the Olympics.
I would prefer UFC fighter. Like we mean like what do you mean like the best in a way like the best training for me or
for you
or the best like in a way that I would which one would be the best to win?
No, the best for training. The purpose is training.
The best for training I would be a UFC fighter. Yeah.
Okay. The best for winning?
Pro wrestler.
Yeah. Okay. Let's go for the other stuff that are not jiu-jitsu related, okay? Would you rather be half your height or double your weight?
Double my weight.
Yeah, because you can lose the weight.
Yeah.
You can lose the weight.
Yeah.
Okay. You can't gain your height.
Nah.
No. Would you rather...
And half of my height would be like very small, man. Because I'm not a big man.
Even for me, I'm my height. I'm going to be like a meter, like 95 centimeters.
A dwarf.
Yeah. Okay. Would you rather have all of your shirts that you have, be 2 sizes too big or 1 size too small?
2 sizes too big. 100%.
Yeah.
I hate like these tight clothes like they use here in Australia. I hate that. I don't like that. Looks weird. You know, I just like to feel comfortable.
Yeah. Okay. Would you rather have hands that kept growing as you get older or feet that kept growing as you get older? It means your hands just keep going bigger or your feet keep growing bigger?
I think the hands would be better for the choke, right?
Yeah. Just get the choke in.
Big choke. I think it would be better, the hands, yeah.
Good for basketball, too.
Yeah.
For the thing.
Yeah, like, for example, Roger Grayson, man, he chokes everyone. You should see the size of his hand, man. I shook his hand and I was just like, oh my God, like, that, now I know the secret. There's massive hands, man.
Yeah. Okay, I think that's it. I think we're done. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Hope you guys enjoyed. You know,
let's hope
I love this subject. So, as I said, I can speak here. I can talk forever.
Our Israeli audience would enjoy, and I do know several people in martial arts that would enjoy this kind of thing. Thank you very much, and that's a wrap.
Oos.
Oos.